Hospital power grid shuts down. Emergency generators fail. Backup systems offline. Street, Catherine's medical center plunged into darkness during the night shift. 6 armed men storm through darkened corridors, tactical flashlights cutting through the black. They've come to steal medical supplies, equipment, and drugs worth millions. But electrician Marcus doesn't run. He opens his toolbox and becomes the most dangerous man in the building. What happens next will electrify you. You're about to witness what happens when the wrong criminals attack the wrong hospital. Marcus Rodriguez crouches behind an electrical panel, watching armed intruders destroy his workplace. 50 years old, 13 years at Street, Catherine's, the quietest electrician in the maintenance department. The gunmen spread out through the hospital, secure medication storage, round up night staff. This should be easy. No power, no alarms, no resistance. Marcus opens his electrical toolkit. 38 seconds. That's all it takes to turn a medical facility into an electric chair. First gunman never expects the hospital's main electrical panel to become a weapon. Marcus bypasses safety circuits, channels 440 volts through door handles the intruder touches. Instant unconsciousness from electrical shock. Marcus moves through his own hospital like lightning incarnate. Every circuit, every junction box, every wire mapped in his memory from 13 years of systematic maintenance. Second gunman fires into the darkness, muzzle flash revealing his position. But Marcus knows something the criminals don't. He's been rewiring this hospital's electrical systems for more than just medical equipment. High voltage trap, hidden placement. Marcus activates a modified defibrillator unit that sends 2000 volts through the metal bed frame the gunman uses for cover. Down instantly. Third and fourth gunmen realize they're not fighting a maintenance worker anymore. They're facing someone who understands electricity at a level that makes the hospital itself lethal. Marcus vanishes into the maze of service corridors, using every piece of electrical equipment as a weapon. Surgical lights become strobing disorientation devices. X-ray machines become radiation hazards. Even his voltage tester becomes a stun weapon. Fifth gunman tries to reach the emergency exit. Marcus is waiting with equipment that doesn't belong in civilian hospitals. Military-grade electrical devices, combat engineering tools, systems designed for battlefield power operations, modified electrical cable. 50,000 volts, applied with the precision of someone who's used electricity to clear minefields and disable enemy equipment. Sixth gunman, the leader, finally understands what he's facing. This isn't an electrician. He screams, it's a goddamn army engineer. But Marcus is already moving. The hospital around them is filled with electrical systems, backup generators, and medical equipment. In the hands of someone who understands combat engineering, the entire building becomes an electric weapon. Marcus activates the emergency power grid, not to restore lighting, but to channel every available volt through the metal floor grating where the leader stands. The electrical discharge that follows lights up the hospital like a lightning storm. When the sparks clear, the gunman finds himself surrounded by the smell of ozone and burnt circuits, facing a man whose eyes hold the cold precision of someone who's used electricity to save lives and take them. Please, I surrender. Don't electrocute me. Marcus studies his electrical panel, calculating voltage and amperage with mathematical precision, then demonstrates why Army combat engineers understand both construction and destruction. Emergency power surge, precisely directed. The leader's weapons system short out as Marcus shows him exactly what 13 years of hiding electrical warfare skills has cost the criminal underworld. 6 armed intruders, 38 seconds. 0 survivors who can resist high voltage. Marcus stands in his darkened hospital, two belts still crackling with residual electricity, breathing normally, like he just completed routine maintenance instead of conducting electrical warfare. He walks to the security office, activates the backup communication system. Hospital security? This is Marcus in electrical. Had some power problems. Also had some intruders. Both issues resolved. You might want to bring paramedics. But this story didn't start 38 seconds ago. It started 19 years earlier. The day Sergeant Marcus Rodriguez, Army Combat Engineers, finished his final deployment and applied for civilian electrical certification. For 16 years, Marcus had served as an electrical specialist with the 82nd Engineer Battalion, He'd maintained power systems in combat zones where electrical failure meant death for field hospitals and forward operating bases. He'd rigged electrical traps for enemy forces, created power grids from nothing in hostile territory, used electrical knowledge for purposes that had nothing to do with civilian maintenance. 19 years ago, Marcus had wanted peace, the satisfaction of keeping hospitals powered instead of using electricity for tactical advantage. Honest work that healed people instead of eliminating threats. St. Catherine's Medical Center offered exactly that opportunity. For 13 years, Marcus had been a perfect employee, reliable, skilled, never complained about emergency calls or dangerous electrical work, maintained systems with precision that impressed supervisors who never asked why he was so advanced. What they didn't know was that Marcus had spent his first year studying every electrical vulnerability, every power system, every potential weapon in the hospital's infrastructure. Old habits from a career where such knowledge meant mission success. Marcus had built himself a civilian identity as complete as any covert operation. Until tonight. Back to the present. Police and paramedics arriving at what looks like an electrical disaster. FBI agents trying to understand what happened. Hospital administrator Dr. Sarah Martinez emerges from the safe room where she'd hidden during the attack. Marcus, she says, staring at the electrically damaged corridors. What happened here? Marcus secures his electrical tools, each movement precise and controlled. Had some intruders tried to steal medical supplies. Also had some power surges. This wasn't just power surges. This was electrical warfare. For 13 years, Marcus has avoided this conversation. For 13 years, he successfully separated his Army engineer past from his civilian electrical present. But there's no separating them now. Army combat engineers, he says simply. Electrical systems specialist, 16 years. Battlefield power operations. The words hit the hospital corridor like high voltage. Dr. Martinez stares at him. You're telling me that for 13 years, St. Catherine's has had an Army electrical warfare specialist maintaining our power systems? Former electrical warfare specialist, Marcus corrects. I'm a hospital electrician now. I keep the lights on. But what you did tonight? Marcus looks at the hospital where he spent 13 years learning to heal instead of harm, to power medical equipment instead of electrical weapons. Tonight forced him to remember that sometimes the best way to protect healing is to eliminate threats to it. Some knowledge stays with you, even when you hope you'll never need it again. Police investigation reveals the full scope of what the criminals had planned. The 6 intruders were part of a medical supply theft ring that had been targeting hospitals during night shifts when security was minimal. They'd researched St. Catherine's power systems, staff schedules, and valuable inventory. They'd planned for alarm systems, security cameras, and civilian resistance. They hadn't planned for encountering someone who understood both hospital electrical systems and combat engineering. 3 weeks later, Marcus makes a decision that changes his career. He begins working with hospital security agencies, teaching them how electrical systems can be used for emergency security. The work allows him to use his combat engineering expertise without returning to active military service. He keeps his position at St. Catherine's, but he no longer feels the need to completely separate his Army experience from his civilian electrical work. Word spreads through the medical security community. St. Catherine's becomes known as one of the most secure hospitals in the state, not just because of technology, but because everyone knows Marcus Rodriguez is watching the power systems.